Meet Emma and Peter. Emma starts saving $50 a month at age 20. Her money earns 5% annual interest, compounded monthly. She stops adding money to the account at the age of 35, but leaves whatever she saved in the account, and the money keeps growing on its own. Peter doesn't save anything in his 20s. He starts at 30, puts in $50 a month, and keeps going all the way to 60. That's 30 years of active saving. So who ends up with more money at 60? It's Emma, even though she only invested half of what Peter did. That's the power of compound interest. Time matters more than the amount. But the dark side is that it can work the same way with debt. Compound interest is one of the most powerful forces in finance, and yet this is what they barely teach you at school, and your bank hopes you never learn. Compound interest is when your money earns interest, and then that interest earns interest, and then that interest earns more interest. It's money making more money. Let's quickly see the math behind it. Here is the formula, where P is your starting amount, R is annual interest rate, N is how often interest is compounded per year, so how often it's added, and T is number of years you save or keep your debt for. If you're into numbers, that's the core behind the magic. But if not, don't worry. Let's break it down with a real-life example. So back to Emma and Peter. Both accounts compound monthly, meaning interest gets added 12 times a year. Every single month, Emma earns a little interest, and the next month she earns interest on that interest. So let's plug the numbers into the formula. By the time Emma stops contributing at age 35, after saving $50 a month for 15 years, Emma has $13,364 in her account. She invested a total of $9,000 and already made over $4,000 in interest. Now she just lets that money sit and grow on its own for 25 more years without adding another dollar. By the time she turns 60, Emma's account has grown to $46,525. That's over $33,000 in growth just from compound interest. Peter, on the other hand, waits until he's 30. He puts in the same $50 per month, but for 30 years, all the way to age 60. So his total investment is $18,000, twice what Emma contributed. At 60, his account has grown to $41,612. That's still pretty great, but it's almost $5,000 less than Emma, even though he put in way more money than she has. And then in real life, there are accounts that compound daily, which is even faster, but always check the details because most don't. So why doesn't compound interest make us all rich? Compound interest works best if you start early and stay consistent. The problem? Most people don't or can't afford to. According to Nasdaq, about half of Americans have $500 or less in savings. And if you already have a lot of money, compound interest gets wild. It's like rolling a massive snowball down a hill. It grows faster and faster. That's why rich people get richer and they do it quickly. Their money is constantly working for them. But now the darker side. Compound interest can also work against you. Take credit card debt. Let's say you have $2,000 on a credit card and don't pay it off. With an interest rate of 25% and only making minimum payments, after a few years, you're not just paying back the $2,000. Especially that most credit card debts are compounded daily after a certain grace period. So you'd be paying interest on interest on interest. That $2,000 can double over time if you ignore it. That's compound interest working against you. Let's look at the real example from the Legal & General website. If you borrowed £50,000 and didn't actively pay it down, compound interest could blow up to more than £100,000, depending on the rate and terms. Of course, this assumes you're delaying payments, but it shows how fast debt grows. Because if you do make a generous monthly payment toward your interest and principal, the final amount would hopefully be much smaller. And in 2024, the average American had $6,730 in credit card debt, and that's up 3.5% from the year before. Here is a breakdown of credit card debt by age from Forbes, released last year. I like how they showed the median here. As you can see, averages are a little skewed. Now let's not forget about inflation. If your savings are growing at 3%, but inflation is rising at 4%, you're actually losing value. You might have $1,000 that grows to $1,030 after a year, and it sounds nice. But if prices went up 4%, that $1,030 buys you less than it used to. So even though your money grew, its power shrunk, and you technically lost money. That's why it's important that, if possible, your savings interest beats inflation. So compound interest can build wealth, but only if you start early, stay consistent, ideally invest more money at the start, and avoid letting it work against you through debt. The sooner you start, the more your money works for you, and the less you have to work for it. If this helped you understand compound interest and its bright and dark sides better, or refresh your math knowledge, hit that like button and subscribe for more. And I've linked a few compound interest calculators in the description if you want to plug in your own numbers. You can also share this video with someone who keeps saying, "I'll start saving later." Thanks for watching.